This is an unlisted video for your eyes only. Since you're watching it, I will assume it's safe to skip the introductions in the interest of saving time. You know who I am. I will tell you what I want straight up because I respect your time. I have the ability to do something very powerful with direct mail campaigns, and I'd like to offer it to you as a service that you can turn around and resell to your clients for a profit. In the minutes that follow, I will attempt to show you why that is a sound and mutually beneficial idea. As you listen to my rant, remember that this is what I do for a living. I run a small but busy advertising agency. So let's begin. To put things in context, I will start with a little story. I'm counting on the fact that I'm talking to a fellow marketer with equally impressive experience, and that you'll be able not only to follow, but to actually grasp the points that I'm making. We begin at the top and we see that the content layout follows the logical eye path, and we give them a point for that. Clean design, good font, nice bullet points, a good stock plastic card with a personal ID printed on it, a well-placed call to action under it, and it ends with a QR code. This letter, by most standards, is what every marketer should aspire to. It is a model of how to do things properly and seriously. It even ends with the take me off the list option in a nice, large, and readable font, not to be confused with the actual content. And back to the top it says, specially prepared for me, and that's a really nice touch. The unique identifier is printed both on the card and on the letter itself. Nobody can argue that this company is dead serious about getting results. What Ken didn't know was that he was sending this letter to me. So let's take a closer look at what we have here and hopefully learn something in the process. Do you see anything that you could do better? I'm sure anyone who runs a mail house could think of a thing or two. When I was reading it, I came up with a dozen, and I'm not talking about small things. We're talking about major issues, every one of them being a potential friction element, impeding the desired response rate from materializing. It's time to get serious, so please pay attention. Specially prepared? Other than merging the field city in the opening phrase, there is nothing specially prepared in the whole letter. The marketplace is not stupid. My tax return is specially prepared. This is a generic letter. But wait, you say, there is a plastic card with your own number on it. That makes it uniquely yours. Well, yes and no. First off, if the card had $5 worth of phone calls on it, I would consider it special, but let's not push it. If it granted me access to any tangible benefit, regardless of whether I decide to work with them or not, it would have provided an amount of goodwill and triggered an obligation in me to at least make that call. But it doesn't. This tangible benefit could have been anything. In this case, for the sake of simplicity, let's say a free white paper. Top 10 mistakes to avoid when choosing an insurance carrier. It's intriguing enough to create curiosity and desire, and when I grab the freebie, the company grabs the lead and the right to call me. It's elementary, folks. Let's move on. We have a whole letter to deconstruct, and I can't count on your infinite patience. We have 5 bullet points on the left side, well placed, aesthetically pleasing, so let's stop and read them. If anything, this should convince me why calling them is a good idea. Point number 1 explicitly says people like to do what other people do, and we have other people who did this, so now it's your turn to do the same. It's fine to know this fact as a marketing professional, but it is not okay to share insights into mass psychology with the recipient. Make the magic happen. Don't tell them how the magic trick works. Point number 2 makes me think of ServiceMagic or LendingTree. Are they a lead aggregator, collecting leads to resell them to these providers? Save time and money. People who run a business care about saving time. Consumers shopping for insurance only care about saving money. Focus on getting one thing across. Don't be all over the place, or they will remember nothing when they finish your letter. Point number 3. Excellent point. This is something people care about. Although I like the point, I think the goodwill created by the offer is annihilated by the ending, because it ends with a negative connotation, in the event of a loss. Most people forget what they just read and just think of the loss. In direct mail, sometimes less is more. If the point of bullet number 4 is to tell me where they have the offices, then tell me where you have your offices. By starting with speak to a friendly rep, you are repeating point 3, but in a less impressive fashion. Again, complexity that is unnecessary is keeping the message from coming across. Now, if point 2 raised the anxiety that they might be selling the leads, point 5 is raising the anxiety that this letter is just a fishing hook so they can grab my home, life, and business accounts. So it also suffers from the fallacy of point 1. You may be thinking, hell, if I sold insurance, I'd try to get their accounts by giving them an unbelievable rate on the car insurance. But mentioning it preemptively accomplishes the reverse. It makes people not call you. Time for a break before we look at the body of the letter. But what have we learned? It's a very important lesson. This company, by making an extra effort to add a nice touch to every phrase, is attempting to increase their power of persuasion. This is a deadly trap, because in the process, you lose clarity. Test after test, take it from someone who worked in an agency. Clarity trumps persuasion. No contest, not even a fluke, not one in a million. You engage in persuasion, you lose your clarity. Now for the letter, and I promise I won't be long. If there is anything that we can agree on, is that the purpose of a direct mail piece is not a branding effort. When you're soliciting an action from the recipient, you need to have a sharp focus on the one action you want them to take, nothing else. Somebody tell me what that big "or" is doing in the middle of the page? I see 2 large blocks of text with an option in between. I was hoping you'd tell me what to do. You promised to save me time. Now you're leaving it up to me to have to read the whole darn thing. Okay, I'm reading it, so let's give it the benefit of the doubt. They paid for a plastic card and they even put a QR code on the letter, so they can't be all bad. So before the "or", you're scaring me with what might happen with the huge and impersonal company. And the letter starts after the "or". They even have a little site I can go to with my priority number without having to talk to anyone. I'm going to their website. Wait a minute, there's no login. They want me to fill out my name. They send me a letter, they already have my name. They gave me a priority number, but I can't even use it as a login. So now I'm thinking, either they have much higher insurance rates for people with no priority numbers, or this number is just irrelevant. The letter doesn't say. I guess it's just a useless number, just to go through the motions of me giving a number to someone for no apparent reason at all, except maybe for them to track their campaign results. Oh wait, it gets worse. The page I landed on is an exact copy of the letter I got in the mail. Now, I have all these questions. I hung on for this long, and the best thing they could put on the landing page was a copy of the letter. Do they want me to read it again? Okay, let's scan the QR code. Nice, it redirected me to a mobile version of the website. Pretty cool, looks like an app. It has a big phone number at the top and a bunch of little menu options. Now, if I were already their client, an app that did something useful would be nice, like report an accident, shop for a better rate. But for now I'm all set. It looks like they're not going to make things any easier for me. This was not my QR code. It was a generic QR code for all the letter recipients. About as useful as my priority number. So how did we get here, folks? We started with what appeared to be a great mail piece, and now we have a slightly depressed letter recipient. How can someone so serious about results miss the mark by so much when everything looked so promising? Well, let's review. On the face of it, this mail piece had an excellent design. If it also had a compelling story in the body, written by a professional, you could go as far as to say this letter was an example of good advertising. But it stopped at design, because there was nothing compelling or moving in the body. The marketing part, the technology, was just a facade. the QR number didn't track the user, so clearly nobody went through the trouble of generating a unique QR code for each recipient. What appeared to be a login number was just a useless number for fluff with no practical purpose. The bullet points looked nice, but lacked content. Even point number 3, which I would keep, lost clarity because they tried too hard and erred on the side of persuasion. The reason companies like the one in our example don't have a real login and a real QR badge is because these things take programmers, experienced managers, advanced servers, and lots of salaries. But it was the best attempt I've seen at looking aggressive. Good bark, but no bite. Now let's see how the big boys do it. This is a name you're probably familiar with, Direct Marketing Days of New York. The second part is going to be more concise because, believe it or not, doing direct mail properly is a lot more simple than doing it poorly. Hey, making big money is a lot easier than making small money, and yet most people somehow get caught struggling. Go figure. Since this is going to be your first time taking a peek behind the scenes at what the top experts do for their own campaigns, I need to explain to you what you will be looking at. According to marketing experiments, the magic that drives response rates has nothing to do with spells or pixie dust. It actually has a formula. R is the response rate volume. M is the motivation of the recipient. P is the database-driven, personalized, end-to-end strategy. V is the clarity of the value proposition. I is the incentive used to raise desirability. A is the user anxiety to respond or to interact. F are the frictional elements of the response process. Okay, here is our client, Direct Marketing Days of New York. I am bound by confidentiality to show you an older campaign. This offer went out to all the alumni, so if you ever took and successfully graduated one of the DMD courses, you, as a professional direct marketer, would have received a letter sending you to this landing page. This is the holy grail of raising your response rates. We're looking at the campaign of DMD, and if that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. Everything I tell you here is said for a reason, and it matters, so pay attention. The first thing you will notice is the simplicity of the landing page. A landing page, just like the letter we discussed earlier, has a single goal: to get the letter recipients to log in. Anything else you attempt to do here that deviates from that goal is self-sabotage. The worst form of self-sabotage is paying for a sign, paying for a mail badge or a Google AdWords campaign and sending people to your homepage where they get distracted by options. Or sending a letter in which you attempt to persuade and you lose clarity of what you want them to do. Or worst, sending them to a landing page that is an identical copy of the letter you just sent them. It's very simple, folks. Focus on one thing. So, anxiety was reduced by keeping their mental focus simple. One thing. That makes it easy for the recipient. It's not sufficient to tell them you want to save them time. You gotta save them time. This allows sufficient brain power left over to the reader so you can talk about incentives and motivation and further focusing them on what you want them to do. Because we already have their personal information, that is the beauty of direct mail, we populate the information we know into the sign-up form on the next page, reducing friction considerably. If the letter mentioned an expiration date or a limited availability, that is motivation. If we offer a free download at the end of the sign-up, that's your incentive. Here is another example. You have your landing page, You have your pre-populated form. On the thank you page that follows the form, you can put your cross-marketing promotions or anything else you can think of. You already have a lead, so you can experiment here all you want. It's really simple, folks. Low friction, reduced anxiety, work a little on raising the incentive, and work on raising the motivation. This is the only work you need to do. Now take that and put it behind a beautiful letter, and I give you Capital One, or any one of the most successful marketers in the country, because this is exactly what they do. I promised you at the start that we can do even better than what the top dogs are doing, and here is the kicker, and with that we're going to wrap it up. If the type of offer lends itself to this procedure, you can grab the lead directly after they log in. No need to fill anything out. They log in, you get the lead, you get it in your email, you get it in your phone. Now, like a hero, you call them back in seconds, and instead of hanging up, they will be happy to talk to you. If each recipient has their own quick response code merged into the letter, the same zero friction interaction can be obtained. They scan a personal QR code with their phone, you get the lead, you call them back instantly. Nothing to fill out, high response rates, new business on steroids. Of course, technology will not make a poor campaign get better results. Likewise, if you have a passion for creativity and beauty in direct mail, you need this technology to maximize your response. I have the ability to create the unique non-sequential ID codes and the QR code batches if you send me your list. I do this with a high level of security for your recipients so they cannot guess each other's logins. I can also host the database-driven interaction for the life of the campaign on a suitable server built from the ground up for hosting campaigns. You tell me how much or how little you need, and if you're equipped to do some of it yourself, we'll collaborate even better. I work out of Southington. I deliver fast. My number is 646-402-5225, and when I can't answer, you should leave me a message. Thank you and have a fabulous day.